But anyway, it was fun.
So far, so good. Yeah, I got skills done. I just added my 2 powers. Um, I need to do hindrances and wait a minute. I think I misplaced my character sheet. Hang on. Where'd it go? Ah, there we go. Arcane background psionics. I mean, that's what it is in the main core book. I don't think I saw an actual edge listed in. I think they just said it's psionics. Yep. Mhm. Yes. 2.0. Good. Yeah, and I mean, I set the dice. So it didn't automatically. No, it didn't increase them. Okay, good. And my skill, because all it did is give you traits and skills. So
All right. As he said, I'm valid name or Jacob. I'll be playing Escott, a 1.0 human that's very stubborn.
And hi all, I'm Casey. I'm gonna be playing Meth. Mess up this name.
Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles. We're gonna go by something shorter. Methy.
nice.
Also, according to this, one-eyed. He has an eye patch, as well as low light vision. So maybe one will cancel out the other. We'll see.
You can only hope, right? Awesome. And so it looks like we've got you just left there, Caractacus.
Okay, well, I'll be playing Pharaoh. Pharaoh is better, fitter, smarter than everyone else, of course, because he's human 2.0. And it's just going to do everything better than anyone else might expect him to, because that's who he is.
Exactly. And you're our hacker, as it were.
I'm a hacker, correct.
Finally, Jed.
Yes.
Well,
Jed's elderly human 2.0. Kind of leans pretty heavy into the stereotypical PI. And I don't know if everybody knows this or not. He's a Zeke. I took the empathy and protection powers. So am I correct in assuming that empathy is very subtle? It just kind of gives some passive bonuses. You're not actually invading someone's mind. Am I correct on that? Okay. I took the hindrance minor enemy, so whether I pissed off somebody in the police or on the street is up to you. I'll roll with whatever fits in the story better, if it even needs to fit in the story.
Sure, yeah. Not at the moment, but we'll think about it.
All right.
So let's see here. We'll give Jed a portrait, something straight out of our...
That works. I was looking for something on my computer, but I'm not finding what I wanted. I got a nice little Frank Sinatra that I use.
It might work.
Need to download a Humphrey Bogart or something.
There you go. So as a little introduction here to what the sort of idea is, we're going to give... I didn't download a safety toolkit, as they frequently sort of do some stuff that when I work with Savage Worlds. However, at any time, y'all can always type out /W and GM, and then message me if you happen to be uncomfortable, things cross the line, or if any of the other players are just being kind of generally crappy, and we can sort of deal with it here. It's ideally we're supposed to be having a good time and a safe time here at the table. Just like that. Without the apostrophe I put in, you can message me and we can figure it out. This probably, despite the fact that Cyberpunk is a little bit out there, I try to keep things pretty relatively PG-13, and so we can just sort of try to aim for that, and I'm sure we're all going to have a pretty darn good time. That being said, I really kind of thought about it very living Greyhawk, sort of West Marches. We're a group of mercenaries, we're a group of runners, we're a group of cyberpunk aficionados who take on jobs for both corporations, governments, shadow organizations, and all manner of people in between in order to get stuff done where other people might not be able to. It's a pretty harsh cyberpunk world, but it's not just dog eat dog. It's also, got some hope and some points of really beauty and wonder in it that we're all just trying to sort of get to. So it's a little bit less like you might be used to in a cyberpunk setting, but not too far away, and pretty much an homage to all of the things that are well and core within the genre. So as mercenaries, as cyberpunk runners, y'all belong to what is essentially a Usenet or a message board, if you will, a chat room, a Discord channel that is run by a Billy Black Eyes, a very famous cyberpunk runner who retires and comes out of retirement to do famous jobs, as really legendary characters always do. A number of sequels about him, essentially. And he started this operation to give folks, especially folks in Chicago, the free city of Chicago, the ability to move things around and become famous, work for themselves, and do all the things that cyberpunk runners, y'all, do so well. And so there's no real formal name to this group. There is sort of a bar/coffee shop that many of y'all hang out at, but it's not really officially under the place of it. It's very, ephemeral and cyber-based, as they often are, and lots of protections are put upon the people in it. So we're going to start in Chicago, the free city of. We're going to start in the year 2095. And in 2095, the world has gotten essentially a little bit haywire. You've got a lot of schisming that's occurred along various ethnological, political lines, religious lines. Any sort of line that can cause a division has probably been exploited to cause a division. But Chicago has sort of remained independent and free in the sort of the swirling of all this chaos, even as other greater powers rise around Chicago in what was the United States of America. So, unless we're playing at 12 or 1 in the morning, we're all in America here, so we don't have to do a lot of geography lessons on where Chicago is, which just happened to be before in running IC3. Like 3 out of 4 people were like, "Where's Chicago?" And I was like, "All right, it's cold. It's near a lake, So that's always a good time." Awesome. So we don't have to go through too much of it, but I am a little bit curious if y'all want to play a particular group of people that's known each other before, even if it's not like a deep, rich history. But are we just sort of, a ragtag group that's essentially been called up to this job? Whatever sort of works for you all. What do you all think?
I'm fine having taken the job not knowing the other people. I mean, that fits the fact that none of us know each other. But I'm also, if somebody wants to play it the other way, I'm okay with that too.
I'm fine with us just meeting up for this job.
Yeah, I think us randomly thrown together does make a lot more sense in a lot of ways. I'm good with that.
Awesome. Casey, unless you have a particularly strong opinion otherwise, I think that this all makes sense.
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. So I think it's easy enough to say that we're at this bar coffee shop. It doesn't actually officially have a name. People sort of call it by various things: the spot, the location, the meetup. But it's really used as a place to meet up with your handlers, the folks of the fixers who are passing you the jobs, or on more dangerous gigs, meet up with some mercenaries that you're hiring to help out or what have you. Y'all met up, you're at a table. There's, of course, pulsating, futuristic music nearly ringing out. And thankfully, you have a computer cybernetically lodged into the back of your brain that likely allows fine-tuning of controls, like turning down a hearing aid or putting on sunglasses to help a little bit of protection against, sensory overload from places just like this. Don't know each other, but you know that this is a safe enough place. Even if weapons are still allowed past the entry doors, no one would be foolish enough to, get into too much of a heated argument here, because there's likely automated defenses and weapons that could spring out of various holes and begin to blast, and pretty indiscriminately. And so everyone feels safe enough to sort of be whoever they are. And after meeting up, and perhaps, we can say that the 4 of you nodded to one another, gave relatively little introduction beforehand, but suddenly a holograph of an anonymous figure shoots up through the table. And the anonymous figure is of just a nondescript executive type and simply says, "Runners. A job has been posted that's within your ability levels. The job is fairly simple. A woman, a girl, really, Lisa Riley, is attending a rock show led by the punk rocker Johnny Marks. And Johnny Marks is doing a show, we don't know where, but it's sure to draw a lot of attention. And the client, wants you to recover Lisa Riley before any police or Chicago Defense Force or corporate security or any other entanglements involve her. The fixer provides a address of where Lisa Riley is to be delivered to. That sort of streams into your taps and planted into your brains. You might see it, streaming over your one of your eyeballs. And silences himself, waiting for questions, if any. And this can be out of character too if you just have a general question as a player. No need to dive into it right here.
Did they at least give us a description of the girl?
Yeah, really.
A photograph?
Absolutely. So on your tap stream, you also see a description, a picture, but also a description like you might see on like a written statement. And then you also have her TAPS transponder code. I think Pharaoh, you would immediately notice that the transponder code is lengthened by many digits, as opposed to being like 15 or 16, it's like 40 or 50, meaning that the signal has been incredibly dampened. And so you just immediately recognize that this transponder is going to be a little bit less than reliable to pinpoint her location.
Work on that. All right. Seems like a challenge.
What about any known barriers or gates we have to go through? Any kind of obstacles we're looking at?
For looking at her location through the tap?
No, in general, like for the gig, bodyguards we should know about, anything like that.
Well, the fixer sort of smiles as you ask and says, "You, of course, mean beyond the fact that the Chicago Defense Force will be raiding the show at exactly 9 p.m. This fixer always has a sort of tendency to leave important details like that to a dramatic moment.
And do we have any idea as to when she's supposedly getting there?
The show starts at like 8:30. Curtains open at around 8:30. Is sort of the general thing. A little bit before, a little bit after. So she's going to be there right then and there. But the fixer doesn't actually know a lot. It doesn't seem willing to give a lot more. It's pretty tight-lipped. Maybe shakes their head.
Any kind of social media handles that we can check into, that kind of thing?
Might be able to do some research in a brief moment here. Sorry, Carrot, were you saying something?
Well, I was just going to say, do we know where she will be coming from? Perhaps there's an opportunity to intercept her in between.
Absolutely. Yeah, fair enough. So in that little packet there, you know that she attends a local edu facility, an education, a campus, a university of some sort, right? And so he could do some trailing from there. Absolutely, yeah.
If we can get her before she gets to a large public venue, it might be a little bit easier.
Does she drive?
Unlikely. Likely is chauffeured, but the fixer doesn't know too much about this person, to like Lisa Riley, and beyond what the file gave you, and sort of shrugs at any of your questions about her sort of personal beyond what's there on the dossier.
Mm.
Okay.
I got one more question.
Mm-hmm.
The concert, is the crowd folk like her, younger girls and teens, or should we expect a mixed crowd?
Johnny Marks. So if anybody has, and everybody should, feel free to roll a common knowledge check.
I'm too old to know that reference.
Now we know why Mephi asked that question. She's into this stuff.
I'm hip to it, yo.
Hip to it, yo.
I definitely think you're aware of. It's a younger crowd. This guy Johnny Marks, he's sort of a political radical and rebel, saying kind of a shock rocker, saying what he can, drinking a lot, drugging a lot, really putting his name out there and doing whatever's extreme. And so you can only imagine the clientele is, it's not a lot of older people with refined tastes, so to speak.
So if we can't intercept her beforehand, we have about 30 minutes to get her out before the cops come knocking.
So with just because sorry, I'll let you respond to that first.
Absolutely, 30 minutes you got. Potentially if it's a large show, maybe a long time to find her, maybe not long, depending on how packed it is, right? And what were you asking there?
Well, I was going to say with the because I'm not terribly familiar with this overall setting here. With this transponder number, will that give me the opportunity to hack into her whatever communication device? So that I can track her?
Great question. No, this is a great time to ask it. So the TAP, I forget what the acronym calls for, but it's a smartphone in the back of your head, and it gives you access to augmented reality, virtual reality, and just traditional what is the internet? With just data stream that you can't interact with in a fancy futuristic way. And it's sort of all of that packed into one. But you can sort of look at it like a really, really crazy cell phone in the back of your head. And so that transponder code, it essentially, because you're connected to constantly the internet and much of the encryption has been phased out because of powerful computing processes, it's just not hard to find somebody. Normally, you can look up where they ate or just do, by social media streams and everything else if they're all open. Hers has been because for some reason, has been sort of dampened to make that process a lot harder. Where if you just took her name and threw it into Google, it wouldn't return all of this like Facebook and Instagram. It just wouldn't give you that because it's been kind of scrubbed from the general pages. So not that it's impossible to find, but you'd have to do a little bit more searching to do so, like a research role, basically.
Research or hacking? Which one is it?
So research for just finding out where she is. And then once you're nearby, the TAP actually has a range on it in Savage Worlds terms, in inches. And so remote hacking isn't so much of a thing, but it can be with some sort of modification for it. But the big thing is that you're going to want to find her general location, and then once you're close by, try to hack her TAP and do something from there.
So then I would suggest we do some quick research. Get onto it now.
Absolutely. And just for the record, we will say it is 5 o'clock in the PM. The show starts soonish. We can't make it too crazy in the winter because Chicago, so we'll say it's May 18th. All right. So you guys have presumably a few hours.
No snow on the ground then.
Exactly. When's a time where there's just no complications from weather?
So we can roll an investigation to try to track her social media kind of stuff. Is that what I'm hearing? I mean,
Yep.
research.
Research.
Exactly. So whatever y'all are trying to do, research. If you want to go to her edu facility and ask around, you can go do that and roll, those sorts of tests. If you want to do, if you wanted to break into the Chicago Defense Force, who is doing a raid on Johnny Marks, and break into their servers, and because they obviously know where the hell he's going to be.
That sounds
No?
more like the type of thing I should be doing.
Yeah, I was thinking about using
Absolutely.
street cred to see where this. I'm assuming it's like an underground concert. I don't think it's going to be open.
It's kind of a hip thing like that. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that I see. I was trying to figure out what's the deal. It's like, so go to the concert and find her. We don't know where the concert is. That's the thing. Okay.
Yeah, precisely.
Right. So, with the roll of 10, if I'm trying to like search your social media, because you said it's not as automatic. So, did I find some trace of, she ate lunch, she ate dinner, she's, with somebody, tagged somebody else? I don't know.
Well, sure, yeah. So hold on. So we had the benefit of seeing what they were afterwards. But so what's sort of the idea here? Generally, how are Jed and Faro going about this? And then if you'll allow me to ask a second question, Faro, would you like to assist or support, or do you kind of both want to go about this on your own ways because you have different methods, or how have you? What do y'all think?
Being who Pharaoh is, he doesn't. The idea of supporting somebody else just doesn't make an awful lot of sense to him.
And I'm in the exact same position as you. We're both overconfident,
That's
so
right.
I can agree with that completely. That we're not looking to help each other out. It's like no.
Yeah,
I'm
go
going
ahead.
to find her. So y'all just hang on a second.
Go do what you're doing. Yeah, and don't bother me with your stuff.
I absolutely agree with that.
I guess while you 2.0s go do that, I'm going to actually walk the streets and find out where this concert is.
Yeah, I'll join you there. Let's go over a stroll.
That's perfect. Yeah, because I'm not thinking about the concert right now. I'm trying to like find out what she's doing on social media to like figure out where she's at. So that's what I was rolling, is to like try to trace her. That whole investigative thing. Like immediately as soon as they started talking about that, I was like, I guess because it's in your head. I guess you just close your eyes and browse the internet. Is that how that?
Very much so, if it's not being directly projected into your brain, right? Like, if you went outside, it would be a little more, right there. But yes, in this case, right, you can really literally close your eyes and sort of do it that way as well. So that's great. And so for the record, Jed, would find, really, Jed and Farah would both find a flyer for the show.
Okay.
And the flyer, digital sort of as it is, it's got, once you sort of view it and pull it up, it's flaming and animated. It's got all this sort of sounds and lights to it. And it says that it's in the show is in the Arlington Heights Rad Zone, an actual location of Chicago that was the site of a nuclear explosion, a dirty bomb, just a number of years ago when Chicago was invaded. And so it's a pretty ballsy, hardcore place to throw a concert in. It's exactly the kind of thing or a place where, this rocker Johnny Marks might host it. Unfortunately, Faro, you don't find out actually beyond anything more specific than just this large 20 by 20 mile radiated area. But, Jed happens to find sort of a less corrupted version or a less passed around version, as they have a sort of timer on them that sends them into the ether so that less and less people can show up. And that one actually has the location on it. But it isn't a great find. Yeah, it's quite far away and actually through a number of dangerous parts of the city. So, good and bad.
So this guy's dragging kids through a really bad part of the city to a concert.
Well, he's not forcing them to go, I guess.
Yes, the 60-year-old investigator absolutely is happy that the police are raiding this joker.
Just hang back and follow them. And then I know, Mephi, you're sort of following Escott here. Where are you going about Valid? Where are you sort of taking, like, anywhere in particular? You said you're just sort of hitting the streets.
Yeah, it's like hitting his the seedier parts and try to get the information from his sources of underground knowledge and all that.
Fair enough. Cool. So the people at Ascot knows. And Mephi, were you going along? Seems like support. Was there another kind of idea you had in mind? I know you're not super familiar with Savage World, so.
Nah, I just thought that I had the street cred skill, and that would probably be a little bit more up my alley.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to support a role.
Perfect. Cool. And how would Mephi be doing that? You know, is that they gonna just stand there looking tough, or are they gonna, I don't know, do anything sort of whatever?
Yeah, I think I look like a someone not to be messed with too much. Not like intimidating so much as like you're just not going to pull one over on me. I mean, I'm a hybrid half cat, missing an eye, probably a couple burnt whiskers. Like I'm not looking like fun to mess around with.
So you've got a rocket sledge. It's a giant sledgehammer that's rocket propelled. And
Yeah, I wanted to ask, do I need fuel for that?
yeah, you've got some fuel for it. Don't worry about it. It uses an indeterminate amount for this particular session. We're just not gonna get into the nitty gritty of it. But you've got, say 2 or 3 dozen charges, enough to really ruin some people's days, and enough to not worry about it. And my point being, it's fairly intimidating. Without actually having to do too much. And so you can roll your street cred. You're looking for a 4 to add a +1 to Ascot's roll here.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Excellent.
Okay, and so since you got a 4 again, an 8, you're going to add a +2. So, Ascot, tell us what the sort of your, help and, what contacts you're looking at. And you can roll your street cred and give us a +2 bonus for it, modifier for it.
Like I said, with
A raise as well. But just sort of shy of it. So here's the thing, Johnny Marks is a really shady character. He's involved in a lot more than rabble rousing and bringing fights out. And you really, I don't know, a lot of you can have whatever, sort of opinions on the free city of Chicago that your characters might, but a lot of people think it's better here than it is in a lot of other places. So the fact that he sort of, goes up and fights against a relatively, good entity like Chicago is a little bit bristling to a lot of people. And not only that, but there's a lot of shadowy talk that he actually works with some less than reputable gangs in order to secure the safety of his tours around the city and go through their territory to play shows. And it might even be that he's robbing people or seeing a person in the crowd who looks really wealthy and sending those gangs after him. There's all sorts of unseedy rumors about his shows, people going missing and the like.
all right. So we probably need to find this girl fairly soon.
So it takes a couple of hours for the 4 to return back, either having never left the meetup cafe, or having gone out to canvas. The pulsating music still rings through the club, and you meet up once again at the table. What do you all think is next here?
So we still haven't discovered where she is, but we have a much better idea where she's going to be.
Yeah, and probably what we're going to be facing up against. There's going to be probably some gangs there doing protection,
Probably.
and probably
We-
just some snatch and grabs.
Yeah. But we have no idea who she's affiliated with right now. Whether she's going to have a bodyguard or whether she's got some friends that are in these gangs, we have no idea. I guess we just best get there and find out. That's all we can do.
Yeah,
That last part was really sort of missing, of whether or not she was involved in some way beyond. But right now, the fixer at least made it seem like she was going to be attending the show, much like many of these other youths do. So the real question, I think, would be on everyone's mind is, who has a car?
Oh, that's what I was just looking at my inventory. You happen to have an MS Street Boss. Sounds like a heck of a vehicle.
It might that almost sounds like it could be a motorcycle.
Yeah, as I look at it, yes, because it only has a crew of 1+1, and we're exposed. That's not so good. But I look good on it anyway. I look
exactly.
so I can fit somebody else on it.
I don't think it would look so good if we tried to take a taxi over there.
It's a taxi. No, not a taxi.
Not sure. Faro or Jed can be seen in taxis, sort of.
Uber 3.0, a jetpack.
We could try our street cred and see if we know any Zoomers or anyone. Is that what you call them?
Nobody else has a vehicle?
Nope.
Yep. That's that. If that was the
Try to hitch a ride over there.
Yeah, I like Matthew's suggestion. Perhaps using some street cred, trying to give yourselves a secure transportation that direction, or potentially a car.
Sorry, I'm just thinking theoretically, this is our day job. We have some connections outside of this group.
Well, that's fair. That would get you there. And who you think it is just sort of like flipping on your tap, going through your contacts at some face booking website kind of thing, or what?
Yeah. I'm saying that I think our other option is to steal a car, but
That's not a bad idea.
I mean, like, I'm sure hot wiring, hijacking is something we could try out, but I think Mephi would probably start by kind of scrolling through her contacts, being like, "No, they moved to New York. They got into an accident the last time," and kind of like be considering who she knows who's in the transport business. Until if no one comes up with the idea to steal the car, then she'll find someone.
Awesome. I mean, so that's easy enough. Go ahead and roll your street cred. Street cred in the setting can be used to give yourself some benefits just like that, and including up to like medical attention to augment some natural healing that's needed or whatnot as well. And so great, and we were good there. Does anyone want to help out in that particular endeavor in any way? The 4 would certainly get her some success, and have a contact who is able to lend either a car or a short ride.
Yeah, Escott can help out. He should
Yeah.
have plenty of contacts to do so, and probably have them owe him a favor or two.
I was going to say the same thing. I'll use my street cred. See if she can't find someone. I may have some people who owe me some favors.
Absolutely. Okay, great. And look, I got +1, giving Meph E a 6, and Pharaoh, you do the same thing. So, how do you guys
What
think this? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what if we all have the same person in our contact list?
That might be.
Could be somebody else within this organization that we picking up these jobs from.
Yeah, there you go. Right, and name dropping 2 other people from Mephi just has a greater effect. Right, there's a little more trust. They're like, oh, you're doing a job with Faro and Escott. Well, damn, why didn't you say so to begin with? I think it would take a few minutes, but not too long, before an EV car was driven up by a suave-looking, very augmented. At first, it looks sort of strange that they have sunglasses on at the late evening hour. But it becomes pretty quickly apparent that they're actually bolted to the sides of the temple of the gentleman's head. He's also got, some pretty strange and neon-colored hairstyle, trench coat as mentioned, and the bulges of several weapons underneath of it. Once he spots Mephi, let's sort of do the classic toss of the keys right into the hybrid big cat's hands. Where is it here? It's certainly not the BKI Beachhead, whatever that is. That's probably too fancy for this. Here we go. The EE Oasis. That's the kind of car we like to give. EE Oasis. It's a decent car. The Elantra Engineering Oasis van. It's well known in the industry. It's sturdy, reliable. Gets you there. Does anybody have a general driving skill they feel really strongly about? They're just like grabbing the keys from Mephi.
Yeah,
Mephi's
fairly.
gonna kind of look down at the keys in her literal paw with claws and kind of look back up, really not willing to drive, asking someone else.
All right, don't worry, Mr. Hammer. I can drive.
I was gonna say I can drive, but I just drive to follow people. I don't drive running away from people.
I guess I'm the driver. Who's calling shotgun?
Well, I was going to bring my my bike anyway.
Oh, you're gonna drive the bike? Perfect.
Go, yeah, I'll follow in on my bike. Nobody has to get on with me if they don't want to.
No. I like the idea of being inside of a vehicle in case somebody starts shooting.
There's some joke about handlebar mustaches and the handlebar on your bike. I just can't think of it right now. So I've shared this sort of map image picture here of Chicago. It's huge. If you're aware of Chicago, it goes from above Waukegan, and literally north of Waukegan, all the way down to past Gary. So I mean, it's like a friggin' no, it's not even set in the things, but it's like 60 something miles, 45 miles, something like that. Across Lake Michigan, far greater than the actual city of Chicago lies. In our present day and time, and after some amount of no small amount of chaos over the last 20 years, given cyberpunk histories, a wall was built because why not go to a technology that worked 500 years ago for your technology of the 2090s? And that's what they did. They built a giant wall around the majority of the city. There's ports of entry, 4 of them sort of north, south, etc., that lead along it, and as well as the spaceport, the space elevator that goes up and down, the international airport in Gary, and a couple, but not highly used, ports along Lake Michigan. Geography is not my strong suit, despite my college degree. And it's divided much along the way that Chicago is now, the northwest, central, and south side. So easily, south side is, being the cool cats that y'all are, that's where you're going to go, and that's where the cafe is. The Arlington Heights Rad Zone, the unfortunate site of one of these dirty bombs, is actually up there to the northwest. There's a lot of stuff, arcologies, giant factory complexes. Hell, you're even going around the O'Hare Millsack, which is the site of the space elevator shooting you up into the atmosphere. And many believe the reason why Chicago is still free today, the presence of the space elevator preventing some overall obliteration of the city by large weaponry from an enemy or another. So you've got to sort of travel along several large highways, thoroughfares, and other passages in order to actually get north from Central into the north side, past the Coffin City entrance and the space elevator, pretty much constantly circumventing it, right? Going to the north and then eventually to the west around it, towards the Arlington Heights Rad Zone. I am going to need a single driving check from anybody who's doing that, so Faro and Escott. But before you do, if Meth or Jed, you want to help out in some way, including doing a research roll on your tap or hacking something or other, that kind of crap.
I would love to do research for a better route, a safer route, maybe.
In contrast, Mephi will research the fastest route.
Oh, that didn't work. Hang on a second. Did that wrong.
Yeah, no worries. And then,
there we go.
Okay.
Thank God for wild dice.
Pharaoh is just following right now.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, yep. Escott, yep. Okay, Meth, go ahead and roll your research, or you can even roll notice if you wanted to, right? Using your actual sort of a little more present abilities of sight.
Yeah, I don't have research, so I'm wondering, is notice just the only other one I can roll there?
There might be others if you kind of explain it away to me well enough. Yeah. I mean, driving, right? You could easily roll to assist.
Yeah. What about piloting?
Or common knowledge, assuming you have a better knowledge of the area that's got to be traveled through.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
If your common knowledge is higher, I don't know what that rate
Yeah,
is.
I think they're about the same. I'll go ahead and roll a common knowledge.
Okay.
Good.
Very good. I think it's safe to say that you helped out and were able to both Jed find an approximately an efficient route, while Matthew's common knowledge to get around any frequent spots of hangdowns or traffic here. So you're going to get a +2 Escott to your general roll. Are you driving with a lot of speed? You're just sort of blasting through all these red lights, disregarding anybody?
Oh, absolutely.
Just going as fast as... Great. I love it. There's a lot at stake, right? Should you fail miserably, it could mean a crash. But should you succeed, you're going to get there fast enough to find this Lisa Riley and potentially even stop her arrest or whatever might happen.
Oof.
Oh, Benny time.
Actually, yeah, Benny. Oh, I didn't add the +2.
Island. You can take the Benny token in the sort of pool that's to the right of your character portrait there, and you can drag it onto the same spot that you're clicking to roll, and it'll sort of spend that Benny and say that you're doing it to re-roll something or other.
Gotcha.
So
I
how do you
remember that now that you say that.
Yeah, exactly. So, how do you think that sort of works? How do you think fate sort of or luck intervenes to help you out there, Valid? How do you think this works here?
I see him like running a bunch of red lights and just narrowly avoiding crashing, and has to take a detour, which is apparently down an alleyway, which is slightly quicker.
Okay, awesome. Then any notes for you, Faro? Are you going kind of close or far behind?
No, I'm not going to be far behind. I certainly don't want to lose him. And
Okay.
being overconfident as I am, I will probably be weaving in and out of traffic and to keep up with him, because I know he's not going out of his way to allow me to follow, and especially if he's blowing reds and things like that. Then I probably have to do a lot of accelerating and braking and turning to keep up with him. So
At least one wheelie is made.
oh yeah, at least one.
Excellent, and it's really it's a really not like a too difficult time getting through all of this, and it's sort of crazy. You think, given all the danger and the gangs and the bio horrors of the escaped laboratories, that people wouldn't be out and about. But it's like 12 now million people living in just Chicago alone, the walled-in area. Not to mention those living outside of it. And so there's people out. There's cars, there's hovercraft flying above, there's VTOLs transporting the rich and the famous to wherever they might go. And you're passing large arcologies with lines and lines upon hundreds of lights gleaming on the insides of them. People never leave, breathing in filtered air and drinking filtered water for their entire lives. But of course, there's just as many people out on the streets going to various cybernetic augmentation clubs or virtual reality arenas, all sorts of intricacies of the Chicago nightlife go whirling by as you blast through traffic. And obviously, Faro, you do a perfect job keeping up. Unless you want to get particularly higher, you could use a Benny if you'd like.
No, I'm good. I don't think this is not. I'm going to save those for when I really need them.
When you fall on the wheelie.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's some sort of fun stuff in the Arlington Heights zone. It really goes from flying in towards Tokyo or Seoul, right, where there's neon lights, gleaming, glittering, everything, right? From holographic projections to loud noises from the pulsating club sounds as you pass those on the highway. And as you get towards the Arlington Heights rad zone, it changes entirely to, it goes from a cyberpunk setting to immediately like post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. Blown out buildings that only have collapsed roofs, right, with jagged portions of their walls still standing, and even only 2 or 3 walls at that. And they're sort of skittering creatures, right? And you're going pretty fast at this point, maybe not 60, but 40 or 50 as you turn off the highway, going through this ruined out, bombed out area. And it's about 10 miles by 10 miles, so really big. And it's radiated, but the studies have shown that radiation has a pretty minimal effect on the augmented body, so you kind of shrug that one off. Who knows if that's actually true, or that's just the Polycorps doing jobs for their their advertising wings, but hey, gets the job done, gets you paid, and so you keep going through. There are people who live here though. Some of them particularly degraded in both like mental ability, physical ability, but also just sort of speech. And since they have, the water is so bad, the conditions are so bad, there's no chance of them getting a job in any of the arcologies or factories that might surround the area if they were even to escape. And so there's little opportunity for them to actually leave this sort of a nuclear wasteland that is the Arlington Heights Rad Zone. Sort of famously where a lot of Zeeks might come to build their psychokinetic empire. This is like the subject of a very famous 24-esque show drama on the hypertubes. But you're there now, and you're inside the actual sort of more winding than straight grid streets of the Arlington Heights Rad Zone, mostly because of the rubble. It blocks certain ways, it prevents the passage in others, full bridges are down, or buildings having completely collapsed to the side, and pretty much stopping any travel through. It is a half an hour later. Sorry, it's like 45 minutes later. That's 7:45. The show's starting about 45 minutes after this. And so it's 7:45 in the PM. It's dark. And Pharaoh, you've sort of go as fast as you want, try to avoid it, but you see ahead of you the van of Escott, Mephi, and Jed slow to a stop as you're between about a 50-foot wide, a yard wide corridor of a road, tall buildings on both sides, and in front of you, with nothing but a few small alleyways offshooting this road, or the way behind you, but in front of you is like a blockade of sorts, unmanned, and Escott stopped far enough away, like long range from most rifles, to be safe of any ambush. But without turning around, there's little you can do to go forward, unless you get creative.
It's like a rubble blockade. It's not like there's people blocking the road.
There's no obvious signs of anybody around, just rubble blockading the street.
Well, that's not suspicious at all.
Well, and yet at the same time, this doesn't seem to be the best route to be going to a concert.
Am I getting the feeling that we're going to have to continue on foot? Is that?
Oh, no. Turning around, going a different route is totally, an option. It might take longer. You could also, if somebody got creative with blasting through or just driving through, all sorts of options. But for whatever reason, the most direct route has been blocked in this fashion.
Do we now know where in this Arlington Heights Rad Zone this concert is happening? Have we figured that out? Okay, so okay, so then surely there's another route. From my position, I'm looking around. Is there another access to get to where we need to go that I can tell? Because I'm back from where they are, right? Okay, well, let's do that then. So I'll take the lead and I'll say, come on, follow me this way.
I've got a pistol that I've got ready because this feels like an ambush, so I'm on high alert here.
All right, so Escott, do you turn the van around, or you're driving, obviously, or anything else in particular?
Yeah, I guess I'll follow. I can't ram through the barricade, can I?
You might be able to sort of do a jump over it more than a ramming through it, but yeah, you might be able to get around it if you were feeling really crazy.
I don't know. How much give does this car have?
um, how much car does any have when you go 30 miles an hour straight towards the barricade?
Can
It's
you
hard to say.
cast protection on a vehicle to make it tougher, or is it only on people?
It's character. I kind of thought it was only person, unless I'm grossly
I've
mistaken.
never
Yeah,
I've never thought about it. Let's see what it says. Protection creates a field of around a character. Yep. Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I would say generally a character, except
Yep.
if the setting, his setting had a specific allowance for it. But
Yeah, exactly.
No, it
Right.
doesn't. The setting doesn't change these
Yeah, usually right.
powers.
With protection and such. Yeah. So I mean, it turning around is just fine. Now, the real unfortunate part about turning around is that everyone's going to need to make a notice check. We're actually going to see how unfortunate it is that you turned around, I suppose.
there's no one to help me, so
You finally know something.
And Matthew, you can spend a penny on that if you'd really like to. It's totally your call.
I don't think so. You can keep mine.
Excellent. Okay, fair enough. So, Jed, Faro, Escott, Escott from, or sorry, Faro from very far ahead, if you will, of Escott turning around the van. See skittering creatures about the size of a small terrier or like an English bulldog, scurrying from every which way from these out of these abandoned buildings. On the entry level, there's hundreds of them going really kind of scarily fast out of them, just skittering across. They look like some sort of strange cross between a between a dog and a roach.
a dog and a what? Sorry.
A roach, yeah, like a cockroach.
Oh, well, that is a strange combination. Roach dogs.
And there are, like I said, dozens, if not hundreds, of them scurrying out towards you suddenly. So I am going to throw folks here onto the map that I just shared. Let's see here. Let's see here. We'll probably give folks over to Escott's card. And Farah, you can hang out on your own. You might not see it now either, if you missed it, smiling. But there's some nifty vehicle automation for Fantasy Grounds with Savage Worlds. I always thought was kind of impressive, even before the recent updates sort of give that same functionality to other rule sets. Fantasy Grounds was really, or that I mean, the Savage Worlds in Fantasy Grounds is really making that at the forefront of it. And it's pretty cool stuff.
I didn't get a map. I just got a picture.
I just realized I had muted my mic.
Oh, unfortunate. That is the map we're going to use. Sorry, maybe we'll
Oh,
put you
okay.
over here and put you a little bit up and make it a little more distinct. I see that. It's a little chaotic down there.
Now I see where you go.
And then we're just we've got these roaches, and they're just, and obviously you can drive away, the unfortunate thing is that they're significantly ahead of you as well. So they're not just coming out like from a laterals perspective, but also as you go, as Escott turned around and revs the engine straight towards Faro on the motorbike, they're still coming out of the sides towards his future location as well. So there's, lots of these on your side. Doesn't really matter how many, we'll say. A couple for everybody, keeping it fair. Something like that, right? They're probably not that close. Sorry, let's move you guys around. Streaming out around everyone. Excellent. So, Smiling, there's a combat tracker, little crossed swords in the upper right under the tool subcategory. That'll give our natural order once the cards are drawn, like we have now in the first the first round. And you can also you can drag your Benny onto those cards, right, in order to reroll. Is that right?
Yeah, it should anyway.
Yeah, right on. So if you don't like your result, or if you weren't on Escott's card for being in his car, right, you could reroll it, or Faro could reroll it if you wanted to.
So you're telling me my 2 might not be happy with that, eh?
Well, they're going to go first and run up to you, and you are an exposed.
Well, that was really worth it, wasn't it?
Oh no!
Oh, so much for wasting a Benny. All right.
That's still, that is how it is sometimes, of course. And so we've got these creatures are not very quick, and what seems to be worse for them than their lack of speed or agility is that these skittering six-legged, terrier-sized roaches seem to be just really incapable of dealing with the rubble and the cratered roads that they have to run through to get to your vehicles. And so instead, they sort of stop nearby, beginning to belch an acidic stream of bile that sort of vomits out from the roaches towards the van and the motorcycle here. Oh, I should just roll a wild die for this couple of 3, and obviously they're gonna miss. And so that's 3 little bits from Toxic Roach 4, Toxic Roach 3, and Toxic Roach with no number. All of them sort of stream this acidic bile towards Faro and his bike, each one landing nearby and smashing around. That really shouldn't be a hit. There's some negative it's not taking into account. And the toxic roach, they're also not short range if we're being fair. The toxic roaches around the van do the same thing. Roll their wild die. And those ones are going to... Oh. Okay. They're actually going to be able to roll again, maybe hitting. Okay, they are going to hit. And so then they stream, just one of them, streams acid from 15, 20 feet away, having scuttered out of some dark and unseen place, and the almost neon green liquid smashes into the van and begins to eat away at it. I don't think... Let's see here. Is an 8 going to get through your vehicle's armor?
The toughness is 13, armor 2.
Okay, so an 11 then. Not gonna happen, and I think I'm okay with that. Perhaps the toxic roach's acid is just a little bit too weak to actually get through, and your street cred worked out for you. Your contacts got you a pretty darn hefty vehicle. All right, well that's going to be it for the toxic roaches, each one scurrying forth, spraying their acid vomit as they did. Ascot, you're in the vehicle. Clearly, you're free to. Let's say you guys are going this way. And so, you're sort of free to go around in the street and avoid or do anything else that you're thinking.
All right. Hey, Mephi, get your hammer ready. I'm going to drive by one of these things. This way.
All right.
And I'm ready with a pistol to shoot him.
I guess Mephi's leaning out the window at this point.
We're playing polo.
Roach polo.
Go Mephi.
Yep.
Let's be real. You're doing it all for yourself.
You said make the attack now?
Yep, go for it. It could be your turn, yeah, Scott. Very good. Oh.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
smack.
Oh, yeah. Roach polo. I like it.
I don't know. It has immunity. This is like a first edition. But it definitely doesn't have immunity to getting smacked by a rocket hammer. And so it's going to die. Jed, your shots also separate a bit of the toxic roaches from the nearby. Is there something specific you wanted to shoot at or do?
So I have the cyberware smart gun, but I don't understand how to make it apply to the actual roll. Because I've got it connected to both pistols, but I'm going to be shooting the heavy pistol. Correct, +2. Ah, nice. Okay. I think, you know what I think I'm going to do, though? I think instead, how do I clear that?
I just click it, hit 0.
Ah, okay. I think what I'm going to do is take 2 shots so that the +2 will be offset by the -2 for multi-action.
Cool.
Because I think I'm probably feeling a little panicky and I'm taking quick shots. Boom, boom, trying to take out more than one. So do I drag my D6 onto a specific thing on the board? Is that what I do?
Yep,
Yeah,
so
that's hard. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, so no worries, no, it's all good. So yeah, just first of all hit the 2 action by the modifier box. Hit the 1 action that'll click it into 2. That'll give you the prerequisite, map penalties, and then you can hit the 2 modifier once again, and then yeah, just drag those. Yep,
So I still need to make that a 2, and then how am I making it a 2 action? Clear targets, target enemy units. I don't.
Yeah. So sorry, but the lower left of the screen by that modifier box there, it says 1 action.
Ah,
but
1 action, 2 action. Okay.
Yep. And so,
all right.
Yep, and then you'll drag, just the 1 dice onto whoever you're targeting first on the map.
Okay.
That the token.
And which one of the tokens, Redbeard or is us?
Redbeard is you. That's very right. Yep.
And so there's somebody right in front of us. Is that correct? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, there's a toxic roach right next by. Yep. To your left, if you will, so to speak.
All right, toxic roach 3. Oh, nice.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, very awesome. So you're going to hit.
And then I drag my damage dice out?
Yep, onto that same token, just like you did.
Oh yeah, good work.
Nice. And that's an AP of 2 and +1. It doesn't say +1 on the screen. Does it know that it's a +1? In the book, this was a 2d8 +1 damage.
Yeah, and so that'll be 17. They're soaked. They're completely blasted away. It
Awesome.
shouldn't have that immunity, obviously. I'm not sure why what got coded into that.
And so then with my second one, maybe I shoot at Toxic Roach 6. Is that ahead of us or something? Or
So y'all are going on the map to the left. So it's sort of behindish to you.
oh, so is there anything in front of me to shoot, or I just need to target this guy that's too close to our motorcycle there?
There you go.
Toxic Roach 4.
Yeah, 4 would
All
be a
right.
good plan. There you go.
Alrighty. Uh-oh. You know what? I don't like that. We're gonna Benny that. So where do I drop the Benny?
Onto the D6 that you used to roll the action.
Got it.
Just like that. Perfect.
Better.
They are quite small.
Oh,
and
I forgot to put the modifier. It took the modifier away when I
So
rerolled. So that's a 5.
And then, of course, fortunately, it is they're very small, so it'll be a 1. So they are at a -4 modifier to be hit, given to their size.
Oh my. Okay, I got really lucky the first time then.
With a 16.
Because it takes an 8 to hit them then.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's without the unsteady penalty that we really should be handing around here, but it's against these rad roaches. Who's really counting? Well, Faro, you're probably going slower, not max speed again, given that you sort of slowed to signal and find the other route. And a couple of these rad roaches have either been splattered or blasted nearby, but there's one pretty close, just a few feet away to the, we'll say, north as you head that direction to the west.
Well, I'm just gonna hit the accelerator or slam my foot on the accelerator, and yeah, it's time to pop a wheelie. I think let's get out of here.
Awesome.
There's no way these things are going to catch me, so I'm not going to bother to worry about what's behind me.
Absolutely. Awesome. Love it. So that's, just, sort of blast ahead using your action to do so.
Huh.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, the toxic roaches, despite what they may try, don't really have anything on internal combustion engines and wheelies, or rocket hammers for that matter. And so present very little actual challenge once you flee into the actual night and the alleyway nearby. I just shut that. Okay. Well, that being that, it isn't too long later before you begin to approach the location of Johnny Marks's show. Already, there is blasting music, sounds of conversation, a little bit of shouting, but so far in sort of a jovial, right, friendly manner. And spotlights are sort of blazing up into the hazy fog above. You approach over the next 20 or 30 minutes after the rad roaches streaming around any traffic, of which there's very little given the Arlington Heights, and go towards the sounds of the show, the sights of it as well. And it's actually kind of funny because as you get closer and closer to it, there's really no way you could have mistaken this place. But the Arlington Heights rad zone being as large as it is, and having the sort of unsavory inhabitants it does, you wouldn't really want to go searching around for spotlights and blasting punk music, right? But still, you approach, and have more or less found it. So you can park however close y'all want to park. You know what I mean? Like you have sort of all those options available to you. Any ideas here as the sort of setup for you getting towards the show? Do you want to just rev right close and get in there? Whatever.
Is there a general, like an area that people access it through? Like most people come through because maybe we'd be able to spot her coming in that way, is my thinking. So is there like a freeway or a, I don't know, a street or whatever that people are accessing it from?
Great question. Yeah, so it is on a street. It's an abandoned factory. It's got several floors to it, broken windows on the second floor, clearly some walkways on the inside to get up, but it's probably a large interior area. It's got a front yard that's fenced off, and that, like the front, if you will, of the fence connects to the street or is adjacent to the street. And so you can park along the street, walk like north a couple of moments, and then get towards this fenced-in area where there's a couple guards. They look very prim and proper for what it's worth. Don't have a lot of scars on them, and they're sort of checking tickets and other wristbands or whatever the hell, and allowing people inside.
Okay, well, from here we should be able to see her. Is my thought. Anybody else have another idea?
So I'm just realizing this is not a free concert.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't consider trying to buy tickets. We just
Okay.
found the flyer and thought it was impromptu.
Can I get online through whatever the version of Ticketron is and whip tickets here using my
They,
hacking system?
you are aware that they're unfortunately they've stopped selling, as a sort of a drumming up support kind of thing. So it's an exclusive affair at this point. You can't just walk in.
Mm. Can I do spot to try to find a way to sneak in? Can I look around, try to find a...
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeb, yeah, you can just sort of poke your head out the window and begin looking around. Just make a notice check.
Do people have actual tickets, or is it all like wristbands?
Yeah, it's electronic. It's in their tabs. They sort of just wave their hand or some wherever the augmentation is in their skin, and then the subdermal transplant, right? And then they sort of wave it around. It's activated or not. Yeah. Jed, that fences are pretty high and covered in razor wire, but this is an old abandoned factory. It would not be hard to just cut through that rusty razor wire and get yourselves in. And given
I
that
have a multi-tool.
there you go. And there's not a lot of people to see it otherwise. People are pretty distracted, right?
Yeah. Then maybe park around the corner and let ourselves in through a new hole in the fence, and that way we'll be parked near our exit point maybe so we can get out of here before the cops blockade it.
It's a good idea.
Any opposition to that? Does that sound like a good plan? I recommend that to everybody. See what they say.
It can happen.
It's always worth a shot.
Awesome. So, parking around the corner and preparing that way. Well, since we're here and this is a pretty good time to take a couple-minute break and let y'all stretch your legs, let's do that before we get inside to Johnny Marks's show.
Okay, how long a break do we want?
I think 10 minutes would probably be great. If y'all want to take a couple minutes afterwards and show up late, I can't be mad at you for it. So aim for 10 minutes, we'll say.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey, Dave. So the other thing that I did with cyberware was increase my intimidation skill. So I guess when I need to do that, I just add the modifier manually. Is that correct? Yeah, it was the here, I'll read it out of the, because I used cyberware to give myself the quick edge. So like reaction enhancers, bioware. I did low light vision, bioware, and then I did the cybertech smart gun, and then I did where did it go? Hang on, it's there. I know it is. I just got to remember which one. Here we go. Chimera Synaptic Anti-Catalyst. Grants +2 bonus to 1 skill. Yes. The plus minus? Oh, I can do a +1, +2. If I do the boost lower. Oh, I think it's treating it like a spell, though. What's it do?
Yeah. What? I'm here. Can you hear me? To a skill? Okay. So go to this right click on the skill die. So what?
Yes.
Okay. And that opens up a little thing. And then you see a plus minus sign, sort of a number at about the 4 o'clock
Yes.
position. Open that up.
Add item.
You get the plus, yeah, add item, and then you can just put it in there. So that will happen every time you use that skill. So one of the challenges that I do find with Savage Worlds on this is you can automate about 80% of the stuff, but some of the edges are only in certain cases. So they're not every time you use your driving skill or every time you roll a spirit roll. Those are the ones you got to remember. But most of it can, if it happens every time you use the skill, then you can automate it. Now, one thing also that you do notice about that with that plus minus, there's a little, when you add something, there's a little checkbox to the left of it that makes it enabled. So you could theoretically, if it wasn't going to be active, go in and
Disable it on that particular
disable it
roll.
and go back afterwards. Yeah,
I like it. So I added it to my shooting as well for my smart gun. So that's perfect. I remember liking Fantasy Grounds. It's just that the few people I play online with, they all prefer Roll20 because that's what they know.
For Savage Worlds, Fantasy Grounds is miles ahead of Roll20.
Even with the it's just been around. They've been doing it for longer. So even the ones that have some pretty extensive support, Foundry included, are it just you can't beat people who've been doing it for developing it for 8 years. It's hard to put in however many hundreds of hours that requires over that long in a span of a couple months. So it's just sort of sitting there as a really solid system, even among. I think people are kind of surprised too, coming from 5e sometimes. They're like, oh, there's other things out there in Fantasy Grounds that have a lot of real support for them. It's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy sometimes, almost surprisingly so.
Yeah, because I may eventually run Deadlands for my family, and they're not all here, so we would have to do it online.
And it works. There's some issues with running it. I do run a game using Fantasy Grounds in person, sort of a hybrid kind of thing for the maps and for the tokens, for the effects, and for some of the automation that comes along with it, just because it's a little bit easier to get down at the end of the day.
Especially with Pathfinder and all the additional effects you can put on people.
Yeah, it can get kind of crunchy with some of those, especially I think it's really funny at people. Some of the old school revival stuff that's happened with second edition, some of the older styles. It's like it used to be really crunchy, and now with some of the automation, second edition suddenly seems pretty accessible if you just kind of know what's going on in the background, and a lot of the rolls happen right then and there. Well, awesome. So we've gotten there. Okay, so I'm going to share a map, and there's not going to have your cars on it, or your motorcycle in the case of Pharaoh, because those are around the corner. There's sort of this converted factory. We'll say the cars are down where the arrow is pointing there, down towards the south, and then y'all are approaching to the north, around to the eastern edge, where there's going to be this sort of series of bouncers. Looks like my things are too small. Where there's some bouncers and other folks hanging out waiting to get inside of this show. Already, as you pass these windows, you can hear the music as well as see some of the folks on the inside. Various young folk looking as they do for shows and getting prepared for them, and just sort of enjoying themselves, drinking and socializing. So you guys can come over here. You'll see sort of the trash area. Get past that. See a back entrance here, and then right next to it, this large entrance with a couple of bouncers, and then a long line of folks that goes from the door out towards the right. So what's the plan here for getting in? Any ideas?
Could always try a window.
Oh, so they're still checking stuff at the door, not just at the gate.
They're the same. The gate and the door are sort of the same thing. There's a fence for sort of around it, and a door to get in. Yep. There's one check to get inside the show.
Oh, okay. So getting through the fence didn't really get us anywhere.
Yeah, you still got to show your tickets. Yep.
Ah, I thought I got us in. Ah, okay.
Anybody good at persuasion?
I'm good at intimidation, but I don't know that that'll work here.
Yeah, intimidation might be hard under these circumstances. It might work, but
I kind of think it would be fun if everyone kind of gave us a street-wise roll here. Free.
And there's no way, even with all my hacking skills, I can create artificial whatever type of registration numbers or whatever, receipt numbers or whatever. It's all
you absolutely could. No, you definitely could. 100%. Yeah. Sorry. If you've got an idea to sort of do something like that, let's go with that. Yeah. What is that? What you're thinking? Sort of.
Yeah, well, that's
You
my
know.
idea. Is if this was all online, and then obviously when you go, you tap something, but that's all electronics and computer. So that's what I do.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, you're just sort of like spoofing or splicing, however you want to think about it. These transponder codes, like you're saying, that you'll wave in front of a scanner, and you'll need 4 of them. We'll say you get like a -1 modifier to a hacking roll to sort of, or in electronics if that's better for Faro, I forget, to sort of create this passcode system.
Okay, so just give me a moment.
Now, well, I don't have either one of those, so never mind.
Okay,
I was
so
going to try to help. Can I help with research to find an authentic looking? I mean, I guess it's not visual; it's electronic. Never mind.
Fair enough.
I was like, we're not creating an actual ticket that looks like something. We're spoofing a code.
you said it was a -1, right?
Yeah, just you're doing it kind of quick on the spot, but yeah, you're kind of trying to pull research and throw it together in the right then and there.
Let me do -1 today. -1. There we go. That was weird. What I was pushing. Okay, here we go. Well, look at that.
Nice.
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah, real good, real kind of mediocre after that.
Anybody
Totaling to
wanted to bring?
You get a +1.
I'm actually +2 on hacking.
So do you? Yeah, you've got a pretty. Faro is an accomplished computer slicer, to be sure.
So,
So I mean, you've got a couple raises there, right? Like there's a numerous sort of side benefits that you might be able to get from this. Like obviously you're going to get through the door, and you have 1 pass for you and your 3 companions here. But is there like I don't know, something else you can think of?
wondering if I'm deep enough into the system that I can figure out whether our Ms. Riley has what her number is, and when is there anything like
Awesome.
information I can dig up that way?
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love that. So I let's say you do. There's some code, an identification attached to it, and you've already got our transponder code, Faro does, and so he can easily match 2 and 4 and figure it out. And what he finds is that she's not already there, but she actually arrived in Johnny Marks's personal group, like like on his tour bus or whatever, and she's got like some VIP status or groupie status. She's a member of the band. She can come in and out as she pleases.
Well, now we might have a better idea where to find her on the inside.
Stage passes.
We're VIPs as well. We're VIPs as well. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. You kind of slide right into the show here. I'll grab your tokens and Jed as well. And so you go up to the front, right? I mean, we've discussed how Jed and Faro are pretty they're full chested, right? They're standing straight up, certainly. And with Mephi as noticeable and Ascot as sort of suavish. I gave you a wrong token, but we'll fix that later. It's got pirate.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. But the young kids in the crowd, the hipsters, the people trying to come to a Johnny Marks show to say that they were seen at a Johnny Marks show, they all kind of back off from you, and you notice these security guards. They're strapped. They're in like they're in armored suits. You know, they're business suits, but of course they've got Kevlar lining and what have you. And they've got some, weaponry on them as well, and a few minor augmentations. But what's really interesting is that you heard before that Johnny Marks had been working with these gangs to provide protection, and these are not gangers. Not only aren't they gangers, but they're not like ex-military. They're not even like really that beefy. You know, they don't have like assault rifles and submachine guns. They've got like a couple heavy pistols on their hips. Sure, scary, but given the fact that the four of you have gone on a job or two before, nothing you really haven't encountered. And they don't even ask you for your obvious weapons as you pass through. They give you a hard look, but once they see the fact that there's four of you and you clearly outnumber and outgun them, they're not going to pick a fight. So that's already like, it's not concerning because it's easy to get through and there's no confrontation, but it's a little strange that you were just sort of like, these supposedly big tough guys just allowed the four of you in without really any to say about it.
So, got a weird like side game thought here. We know the police are gonna raid. Is it reasonable to believe that Jed, as a PI, has some contacts in the department? I mean, I don't have an edge for that or anything. I don't know if that's part of background or.
I think you could say that would be fine. If it was if the benefit was within reason, absolutely, sure.
So I've got on amid the stuff I picked a buttonhole camera. So can I surreptitiously take photos of their security as we go along and send info to my contact so that I'm maybe buying some future goodwill in case this goes sideways for us? We have a chance of getting out with the girl, even if things don't go so well for us. I'm kind of like I'm working on Plan B in the background here.
I hear you, and that's perfectly fine with me, unless somebody amongst the party tries to stop you from doing it for some reason or
I
another.
don't honestly think they would know that I'm doing it.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's good there. So you're sort of working on that in the background. Very good. And if anybody else, please, just chime up and tell me if you're doing something as you sort of get through these first security doors and walk into this club itself. The noise is pretty deafening, and there are maybe 100 or 150 people throughout this club. There's a bar set up towards the stage. There's sort of like waiters and waitresses walking around the tables, seeing folks, and there are all manner of augmented humans, cyborgs, androids, hybrids of various animal variety, and everything in between. Simply kind of enjoying themselves, but again, also being there to be seen. Johnny Marks hasn't yet set upon the stage, and it actually sits empty, but there's still a few dozen people sort of beginning to crowd around it, waiting for him to emerge from the green room or what have you.
Now, am I close enough now to be able to connect with whatever type of device that this Riley girl has?
I think I think you are. So the general idea is, since you're wireless, you've got to spend a moment pinging the area. Like all these are in action, basically. You got to spend a moment pinging the area. You got to spend a moment identifying the correct signal, which you'll get a bonus for having her transponder, and then you start the hacking process itself, which is an action in and of that. So you're in combat, maybe you want to multi-action it just to do the ping and the identification in one round. But for now, yeah, you just want to start pinging the area and sort of finding out which one responds.
You want me to find out where she is exactly, right?
Yep, perfect.
So what am I rolling?
Notice roll. And
Notice?
so, notice roll to sort of, you're looking through your augmented reality, seeing the list of everybody else's taps that are connected to like the local hotspot, and you're sort of going through it and comparing it with what you know is her transponder code.
Okay, so I don't know, these weird equipment pieces. I don't know if any of these help me at all. My yeah, yeah. Okay. So this is the straight notice roll. Okay. All right then.
Oh, nice.
There we go. Okay. Okay. So I informed the rest of our group. So what's the plan? That's where she is.
Yeah, let's just go and grab her.
All right.
Well, we probably need to convince her to come.
Nah, that's optional.
Now, 60-year-old me is planning on lecturing her and pointing out that her father's about to cut her off from all of her accounts if she doesn't return home immediately. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I'm prepared to tell her. As part of an intimidation, like, young lady, you're in trouble. No. You're about to lose access to your account.
You should probably lead with that, then follow with the lecture.
Well, that to me, that is the lecture. You know, like, we've been sent to escort you safely.
Well, it's either that or we say, look, there's a police raid coming in 20 minutes. You got to get out of here now.
I'm hoping to avoid that because I'm wanting this guy to get busted.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she's a groupie, she'll tell him.
Okay.
So as we're discussing this, yeah, I'm like,
I'm more worried about getting her out. I really don't care about him.
but if we can get her out and he can still get busted, it's a win-win. Trust me, this guy needs to get busted.
Okay. Whatever. I do like that song, though, that he does. What is it?
Bands these days, it's all derivative now.
Yeah, music stopped being music when they added words to it, man. I remember we used to chant our rock.
That's right.
So there you do see that, and as a description, you've got tables, you've got sort of booths to everyone's map right, but the characters left, and you some refreshers over here, unisex as they are. It seems like there's a kitchen, cafe, bar sort of area, as well as a green room through these stairs, or like a private area, VIP area sort of thing. And so you go up these stairs, maybe they got a curtain that, stops the plebs from being able to see within. But other than that, it seems fairly open. Not even a security on the outside. But there are a lot of people mingling about where you all
And what time is it now?
It's 8:20. You got about
Yeah.
10 minutes till the raid.
We need to bounce. We need to take the direct route, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just walk in like we belong.
Yes, exactly. Which Farah and I definitely look like we do. At least we believe we do.
Absolutely. Well, we do belong. It said so on our tickets. So
Yes.
we're VIPs.
I mean, yeah, we have backstage access, so let's get backstage.
Good plan.
And that's about right. So the
should we have drinks?
Should be
No, we
carrying.
don't have time. We don't have time. Never mind.
Ted gets the better of himself. Thinks for a second. No, I'm on the job. I'm on the job.
I was just thinking to blend in, but
Sure. That's what you tell everybody. And so
I'll light up a cigarette. I'll light up a cigarette.
Get your fix. And so you head in. The interesting thing is, as you pass through the curtain, there's no security on the inside either. What there are is a number of cybernetically enhanced 7-foot tall, 250-pound gentlemen, about 4 of them. And they don't look like they're groupies or even fans of Johnny Marks. They look like they belong to a gang. And one of the more horrifying aspects of the Interface Zero world is the idea of Chrome Reapers. They're gangs that target people with cybernetics and rob them of their cybernetics in often lethal ways. And so these gentlemen, given their gang insignia and their multiple bulging, biceps worth of augmentations, and the way that they pretty greedily eye your own augmentations, it certainly rings a few bells, and associations immediately begin to ring out in your mind.
I guess it's a good thing I don't have any.
Does anybody, break the silence or break the tension in any way? Because they're just sort of staring straight at the 4 of you. Not 4 of them, the 3 of them.
I say over to confidently, we are going backstage. And I guess my smart gun is visible on my palm, or like the connection for it. I guess that's how they know I have cyber. Otherwise, everything's bio on me. Yeah. In the overconfident way that I have, I look at him and say, "We're going backstage. We're VIPs."
What if we said, "Is this how you treat VIPs?"
Certainly, we're going backstage. We're VIPs, and then Mephi's like, "Yeah, is this how you treat VIPs?" Shoring up right behind the group, and so feel free, spread out a little bit. I'm gonna put on these folks here so you guys have a little more idea what's going on.
I was going to try to use some street cred to see if I can name drop one of their higher ups to give us some more leeway.
Is it raining? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's potential here. So you sort of move forward, and then what do you say here, Escott? And then Faro, I know that they were Escott, Mephi, and Jed are moving forward, but if you wanted to be back, that's totally fine too. Just move yourself around as needed.
Escott would try to wave them down and say, "Don't worry, they're with me, and I know, I don't know, Big Johnny, and we were here as a favor for him, so just don't worry about it."
Awesome. Go ahead, roll your street cred. Let's see how Big Johnny works on these Chrome Reapers. Oh, great. I'm going to say that they're pretty taken aback by this. They know Big Johnny. What's that?
Yeah. He knows Johnny's big. No, what the? Sorry, I'm tongue tied. So he knows Big John. Yeah, the John Big. He knows John Big.
And they basically allow you to get. I mean, they allow Jed, right, who I kind of presume, leading the charge here, almost to hand on the door, opening it before the one, just at Escott, maybe that he's been staring straight at to the south here, Gang Soldier 2. He's like, no, wait a minute. Absolutely not. Johnny is in there. He's preparing. He's got to have a clear mind to produce the rock he does, man. You let him produce.
Oh,
But
hang on. I got a note from him. It's right here. I'm going to pull my gun and shoot.
Oh, Shiznig.
I suppose that's what's happening. Escott, you did that. I was gonna, so Escott, you're gonna have the drop when you shoot. Everybody else can react appropriately. We'll say that you've heard either of Escott's reputation before, or you're sort of aware his plan when to begin with. So you just kind of get like a surprise round, so to speak.
Did you already deal cards?
I am going to right now here. So okay. So Jed, you got the ace of clubs. You're going presumably first. We're going to skip over the gang
nice.
soldier, go to Pharaoh, Mephistopheles, then Escott's going to shoot. So you all kind of see Escott moving for the gun, and Escott, you're free to sort of change your 4 of hearts there as you want with a Benny. I'm actually going to give you one. I think it's funny that you're shooting this guy.
Well, he's impulsive.
Okay, awesome. So Jed, like I said, you see the gun being pulled. What's your plan here?
I am going to initiate a test with intimidation and tell him that this is going to go down one way or another. It'd be easier for him if he just weren't here. I don't know. Because that's the thing, right? I can make I can make him shaken. Yes.
Exactly, and I think with a raise you can pick the distracted or vulnerable as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna make that test.
Great. And
As
so,
I'm also drawing my gun, I'm not gonna shoot it though. I'm gonna let somebody else shoot him. But
fair enough. But you got it in your on hand. Yeah. Perfect. So
so do I need to drop the intimidation dice on him or just roll it?
Yeah, please do. I've exactly dropped it on him like you were targeting him with an attack, and that's gonna on the combat tracker. He's gonna roll that spirit check in defense automatically, and be unable. Sorry. He's gonna get a 7 on it, so he's gonna equal.
Can I Benny?
Absolutely, you can. Just do it back on the intimidation check. It's a little bit wonky right now with the bennies on the test, but we'll add it back in there and see what it gets. So just drop the benny onto the intimidation.
Well, that's not better.
Oh, it did do it. That's really interesting. Okay, cool. But it is unfortunately not better. So a 6 against his 7, his first roll.
Oh, when you Benny, you don't choose the better of the two. You're stuck with the second.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
I mean, you can keep binning as long as you have the bennies for it.
No, I'll save some. And then, am I allowed to move myself? Oh, that's not me that I'm trying to move. That's why. I probably keep moving forward because I'm confident that we're getting through this door. So I take a step forward. I try to intimidate him. I'm a little surprised that he doesn't seem taken aback because I feel like people usually listen to me, especially when I'm talking tough.
Well, Pharaoh, it's up to you. You're sort of hanging out in the back, but there's still one of these Chrome Reaper thugs nearby.
Well, I don't have anything like intimidation.
Now you can. They are, like I said, they're heavily augmented. You could take a time to try to hack their cyber augmentations. You could also fight them in whatever traditional sense you wanted to.
Right. Okay, so how do I hack? That was what I was going to ask you. Again, unfamiliarity with this setting. How do I hack their augments or whatever it is I'm hacking? Their cybernetics.
Yep. So you're going to first of all, you're close enough that you don't have to do the first notice check that you did last time. You already know that there's 3 bad dudes around. They all have taps, right? So you're just gonna identify the right one, and that's going to be a research check. You get a +2 on that check because of, again, you're in combat. Your
research
taps. Yep, research +2, and that's this is an action.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now, if you're doing this, this gentleman to the right here, this gentleman to the south, whichever one you're doing, you have now identified his tap. If you
Okay.
took if you waited until your next round, you could start going, or if you took a multi-action, which you would succeed at, you could start hacking him right now. But that was an action right there to do the research.
Okay. So it's a double. I need 2 actions in effect. I got to do a research and then it's hacking. Is that the way it works?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So then that's what I will do. Yeah. Okay. That's what I would have done.
No, let's
So
go for it. Yeah, keep going though. Just hit it right now because you would have succeeded at the 6 anyways. That's a 4. You succeed at the research check, and then hit the multi-action and just go for your hacking. That's totally fine.
okay.
Awesome.
There we go.
And
Hack
so
with a ray.
And so so this guy's got he's got big beefy cyber arms. He's obviously got cybernetic eyes and like other sort of things. Are any one of those sound more appealing than the other one?
Well, the arms look a lot more dangerous unless he has any obvious cybernetic weapons built in or anything like that.
Yeah, no, he's got like he's got like a knife and like a big old club, so he's gonna beat you with the cyber arms. Yeah, so those are great.
Then,
Yep.
Yeah. So, what do I do now? Damage, and if so, where do I find what damage I'm doing?
Sorry. So the he is now has whatever augment he was getting on the cyber arms removed. So he was getting So if you're disabling the cyber arms, right, they are because of your success in your raise, they're just disabled and out of the fight. He can't even use his arms to raise them to come and attack you in the first place. So no damage, but he's sort of useless.
Okay. All right. Effectively disarmed him.
And then just to make sure, was that the one sort of to the east here or the one adjacent? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the one that's the most immediate threat to me. I'm assuming the other one's tied up by everybody else. So
Awesome. Very good.
I am done.
So then we're on you, Meth. One of the gang soldiers, these Chrome Reapers, drops his arms uselessly at the sort of mental control that Pharaoh's exhibiting. What do you do?
Are y'all still there?
I'm here.
Mhm.
You seem to have lost someone.
Casey?
Sorry, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
You sort of got like this little surprise round here to take an action. Any ideas?
I'm just been thinking this whole time. I could take out this rocket sledge or hammer or whatever I have. And swing that.
It's not a bad idea. It is a rocket hammer. I mean, it sort of begs to be swung, right?
Alrighty then, that's what we're doing. This guy behind me, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is he like on the same level as me? I'm just.
Yeah, no, so it's sort of a green room, right? You've got a couch, you've got a table, you've got some hollow projectors, dancing with scantily clad folks all about. And then you've got sort of like maybe this is a bar or something like that, a little small half height table, something like that. There's amenities littered about the room, but he's more or less just right next to Matthew.
So I think in one fell swoop, Matthew just kind of takes a step and swings her sledge.
Excellent.
Good work.
Oh, nice.
Good work, young kitty.
Yeah, there's like a growl or something that happens there.
Yeah, so that was your damage. So, in case there's a, I don't know how to describe it. There's towards the other opposite side of the attacks thing. There's your actual there's a D8 as opposed to the 2D10. So roll that to attack.
Yep. Oops.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's okay. You're going to do 17 should you hit it,
Or she'll hit.
which
Yeah.
actually you do d6 more than 17. So roll another d6, and we're going to add it right on. This gang soldier is extra destroyed. There you go. 18.
That.
Very nice.
And so what? Just a quick pull out of the hammer and a swing down?
Yeah. You know, maybe an upward kind of arc where a step and a swing, kind of the sledge more or less appears out of nowhere.
Drops from the big fat sleeve into the hand and then
Nice.
uppercut.
I guess I'll go after number 2 then. I'll Benny that.
You're definitely gonna get the drop on that. So
Oh, did it not apply to the effect?
does
Oh no, it
not
doesn't look like it.
doesn't look like it. So it should have been an 8. Would have been a hit. Also not sure why you're large right now. So it should have been 2 higher than what it shows, anyways. Unless is S got a large character? Oh, does he
has
have like
brawny.
brawny? Yeah, okay, there you go. So because you're in melee, it counts as, or sorry, because you're adjacent, your range attack kind of counts as a melee, but still you have the drop, so you're gonna hit. So go ahead and roll your damage with the +4 from the drop.
I guess I should put it in manually since it doesn't look like it's working.
I think the drop is supposed to be on the target, not on the.
Ah, okay. That
Oh, you put it
might
on
be
yourself. I didn't even see that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go.
Can you remove it then?
I did. There you go.
Put it on him then.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, that works.
These poor Chrome Reapers. They were just having a good time. Going to a show. Thinking that they were going to listen to some music. Meanwhile.
We know Johnny Big John. So
Should have just trusted us.
The gang shoulder with the useless arms responds very quickly to the fact that suddenly the primary augmentation that he's wielding is just useless. And with it, his ability to draw a weapon, open doors, or really do a lot of the other things that a gang soldier like himself, a Chrome Reap, would want to be doing. And so finds the tendrils of Pharaoh's hacking in his minds, and he's just sort of out. Without being stopped, he is going to move his pace. Bounce. What was that? And sort of flees out there beyond the doorway.
That works with me.
Nice.
That is, of course, going to lead us to this door, beyond which, after the gunshot rings out, there was silence. But a moment ago, before Escott blasted him with the pistol, actually, that's not even a pistol. This is a real old gun. It doesn't matter. It's a big gun you just shot him with.
Oh,
But
it says it has a flash and sound suppressor, if that matters.
It doesn't, no, but the sound from the rocket sledge and everything else probably would have done it. But still, I just think it was funny. You were like, I threw it with my pistol. It's like an assault rifle. But from beyond the door a moment ago, you could have sworn you heard an argument a female voice rising and a sort of like male voice responding to it. Then, at the course of the sound of the rocket sledge and the combat and the ganger fleeing, those voices went silent. The door doesn't look particularly like locked. It doesn't have like a mag seal on it or anything of the sort. And so any number of you could sort of open it up as far as you can tell.
That was going to be my action, even if the fight was still going on. I was planning on continuing through the door, so onward and upward.
Excellent. So the door opens. Jed steps through immediately. The rest of you sort of peering over his shoulder in order to see. There is a blonde, well, she's really multicolored, a rainbow assortment of hair, but primarily blonde. And she's in, today's most fashionable clothing. She has a couple tattoos, augmentations of, again, very fashionable variety, and looks just all around very with it as far as today's style is concerned. She stands.
Not very punk at all.
Wow. This is Lisa Riley we're talking about here. Yeah, she's not though. She's quite she's a poser if we're being punkish about the talk about it. But yeah, she's also quite young, and she looks immediately and obviously naive. Sort of like thrown into the mix. But she also has a pretty deep devotion with which she looks to Johnny Marks, the sort of long black-haired rocker that she stands around. He's clad in like leather type pants and rocker stuff. Looks very traditionally, I do this for a living. And they've just been in an argument of some sort, that much is obvious. But they both now look pretty stunned towards Jet.
And do I have an action now?
Yeah, do what you will. I mean, we're not really recording it like that. Yeah, we're not in structured time.
I'm gonna focus my will on her with empathy as we're gonna start to get into a discussion here, to enact the power empathy on her.
Cool.
So,
yep, begin rolling that, and then for the rest of you, Mephi, Faro, and Escott, you're gonna just simply move into the room and see what's going on, or anything else?
Yeah, I think I would probably follow pretty closely as our fighter, just kind of ready to brawl or grab her or whatever.
I don't have a gun out, by the way.
You put yours away, sure enough.
Yeah.
And then Escott, Faro, anything in particular moving in?
Yeah, I'll go inside the room, but kind of stay close to the door in case they try to make a break for it.
Sure thing. And there is sort of this stairway you notice in the southwest that leads down to sort of the backstage. And what about you, Faro?
Well, given there's not an awful lot of room right now, I'm also kind of keeping an eye because one guy got away, just in case he brings back reinforcements. You can assume that they're fairly discouraged, but you never know.
Awesome. And maybe not just keeping a physical eye on it, but like also some sort of hacking, presence or whatever.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So,
how does empathy work?
So you're feeling her. You succeed. Spend the power points,
Okay.
etc. And on the casting of the spell, and so on the power, and she is feeling conflicting things. And that's kind of strange. It's anger and devotion. She is very upset at something recently spoken, and she is also she is so upset because she was willing just a moment ago to do pretty much anything it took, and now all of a sudden that trust is broken. She is thinking to herself, well then, screw it, I'll just go back to home.
Oh, perfect. And may I speak to her now, or are we?
Yep, no, we are good. I think everyone's in a good spot. Yep, so you've got you got Mephi sort of right behind you. You've got Escott nearby, and you see, the shadow of Pharaoh nearby outside of the door.
So I look at her and I, because I was planning on being intimidating, like lecturing about it, but I'll say to her what I had planned, just thinking that it's going to be even more effective now because it's what she's starting to think about doing. Now maybe I don't understand teenagers and I'm about to screw it up and make her decide she doesn't want to go home. But young lady, we've been sent to escort you safely home. Your father is ready to cut off all of your credit accounts. It is time to leave. And I look at him and I say, and you don't have time for this. You've got to get your show started. As I'm being all intimidating and ordering people around, these young hooligans.
Yeah, excellent. So I mean, you're free to roll sort of an intimidation check if that's, we can
Sure.
see how you succeed. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna Benny that.
Wow.
Well, it's slightly better. I was really hoping for the raise, but
Now, Johnny Marks? This might not prove to you
oh,
more than.
I get a raise on her because empathy gives me a +1, so I have a raise on her, not on him.
So she looks pretty. Whatever they were fighting about was meaningful enough for her to sort of give up. And she starts to turn and walk towards you. For his part, he's a real scumbag, and then your whole, you've got a show to get to. He thinks about it for a second. He, looks at his watch or whatever, checks his tap, augmented reality time, and he's like, oh, God, I do. I gotta go. I can't really waste any more time for this argument. And you're like, oh my God, this guy is so shitty. And so you sort of prepare to sort of move on with it. But then is when you hear the distinct sort of tink, 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 followed by the spraying of a gas.
Oh, okay. I was expecting a flashbang.
Escott's like, oh, they're starting with those. That's great. And the shouting of Chicago Defense Force members as they kick through doors
They're
and
early.
windows. An unfortunate circumstance. They're so early.
Maybe they heard the fighting.
Well, thank God for backup plan. Maybe I can still get us out of here.
You're gonna have to talk us out of here.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping through my contact that I can swing.
So let's so I mean fancy it enough. There's Polycorp, there's Chicago Defense Force gentlemen. There's no windows in the green room, so they're not breaching through here. And from the sounds of it streaming through the stairway, it's clear they're coming primarily through the north, where you recorded some windows on your way in, and of course those double main doors. So you have a brief sort of moment to act. Johnny Marks, for his part, looks around, obviously trying to find his way out. If nobody stops him, it's pretty clear he's going to dash towards the nearest exit. What do y'all do?
Which for him is to head down backstage, right? Because we're blocking this door.
Yeah, he's definitely looking primarily towards that stairway there, and it's clear he's going to run that way.
I'll shoot some quick photos to my contact to let them know where he is, where he's headed, and because I'm really knowing that I might need this goodwill.
I mean, we could just kneecap him.
That's not what I'm thinking. Feel free.
I mean, he may know the way out.
Exactly what I'm thinking. He probably does, if anybody does.
So
The
you
police are
think
here to arrest him, so if we capture him, maybe we get some goodwill with the cops.
Y'all should act on that. In my head, I was already thinking the opposite, so I'm going to stick with what I was thinking. But y'all should do that.
So I think so regard taking pictures and then maybe Faro, uh,
Yeah.
Mephi and Escott sort of give him a few meters of space, right, a few yards of space, but
And the girl's coming to me.
yeah, and she just sort of after the group sort of switches with her, Mephi, Faro, and Escott, they move towards Johnny as he flees down the stairs. She comes towards Jed, and she's like, so, I just forgot his name, but she's going to be like, so father sent you? No, she's going to say Gunther. Gunther's his name. She says, so Gunther sent you? She's like, kind of on first name weird basis with her dad, right?
Right, because it's a lack of respect thing, calling him by his first name.
Exactly right. She's like, so Gunther sent you, and you don't know who Gunther is, but you can assume it's this employer that your fixer was. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'll say, as for all of your lack of gratitude, he cares about you very much, and I'll pull my armor duster off, and I'll put it on her because that would be the worst thing that could happen while we're here, is she actually gets shot. So I'm gonna unequip my armor if that's acceptable.
Yeah.
And trying to make sure she doesn't take any harm. So
Cool. All right, there we are, and then the three of you move towards Johnny Marcus. Lisa Riley is secure and pretty much, shielded, right, by a large trench coat. And Johnny Marks runs towards this door here. He opens it, dashes outside into like a truck sort of loading bay kind of thing. And from the north, from the club space, you can hear the Chicago Defense Force shouting orders, ordering people to the ground, asking people rather aggressively where the hell Johnny Marks is, and all those sorts of raiding questions that police might do. Escott, Faro, Mephistopheles, how close do you get to Johnny Marks here? Like, once he exits this door right there, what do y'all do? Like, do you sort of instantly rush over to the next doorway, or do you hang back a little bit? Remember that these curtains right here are just pure curtains. They're just like the backstage, right? Like, once they're open, there's just nothing between you and the cops.
I'm slamming my gas mask on while I'm running after him. You said there was gas, right? They were using some tear gas or on with my gas mask, but I'm not the most physical of people, so I'll leave it to the other two to, if we're gonna drag him down.
I think Escott's going to try to tackle him.
All right. And Meth, any ideas once you sort of see Escott doing that?
I'm not sure. My idea was to kind of follow him until we got either out or in a tight spot. But I'm gonna play kind of defense and keep a notice out for anyone coming around corners or kind of coming at us, and just kind of play that fighter role.
give us an fighting check.
Oh, I thought it's oppose athletics.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Sorry. Yeah, I misheard you. You mean like literally throwing him to the ground? There you
Yeah.
go. I thought you meant more figuratively punching him in the face, kind of a thing. But you mean very much that. Okay, so his athletics. If you succeed, he'll have to actually roll in response. He gets a 3, and Johnny Marks is gonna Benny that 3. We'll give it just a once, so he's gonna get a 5, which does actually prevent your ability. And so, Escott charges through just as Johnny Marks gets through the doorway, and the rocker sort of pulls off his leather jacket, and Escott is left with just that like faux leather garbage in his hands, and Johnny Marks is sort of walking through, unless Escott sort of quickly spends a Benny and does something like that.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Sorry, one of us was supposed to spend it in the first place before the other one. I forget, but go for it.
Oh, exactly the same.
So he's, spend another one as you will, but he's, sort of moving away.
Yeah, I'll save at least one.
All right. I'm just gonna like that. I'll give you one for it. And so he's moved through and away towards a double loading dock, just as more spray canisters begin to ring out from the club, and Jed puts the overcoat around the folks, around Lisa Riley, excuse me. With nothing really else, it's probably fair to say that Matt Farrow and Jed with Lisa sort of come through towards Escott, unless they go the other way. What do you?
Is anyone still in the room with me, or did everybody go out that door?
Everyone's sort of where they are, but like Meffy and Faro were saying, Johnny is probably going towards the exit, so following him, unless you want to go to the main exit where the cops are.
As I'll hesitate because I can't make up my mind and end up following whatever Faro does. But part of why I'm hesitating is I'm distracted. I'm sending a message to my contact going, can you send some kind of a token or a pass? Because myself and my 4 companions need to not be arrested because we were helping you.
And what the response is from your companion, from your your contact, is 4. You had said, 3 contacts from that mercenary guild you're a part of, or you know what I mean, like the Mephi, Faro. Who's the 4th? Is the response.
I'm gonna, out of character, I'm gonna ask, did I ever tell him how many of us there were? I thought I was just sending him stuff.
Oh, sure. Okay, so fair enough.
Because I was setting us up for this request when it came.
Fair enough. No, absolutely. And so sorry. So take that back. What he responds with is they're looking for someone. The cops aren't going to let that. The cops aren't going to let anyone leave without ensuring that someone isn't with them. So there's just pretty little, that your buddy can do to let you sort of give you a literal pass.
Right. So we need to grab him.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in pursuit of him right now. I just need to make sure that that we don't get arrested in the process.
And he says, yeah, that the
there's like a smiley face emoji that comes into your view, and it's like these cops are pretty gung ho. They've seen a lot of old spaghetti westerns.
Mm. I yell down to Escott, "We got to get him!"
On it.
And so I'll drag her along and tell her, "Your name is Sally if anybody asks."
Excellent. Okay. So then, Escott, you got the ace of spades, pretty darn good, and so you're going to go
Oh,
first.
nice.
And I'm going to try another grab on him.
Does when does quick kick in? Is it under 5 or is it under 7?
Quick. Yeah, I thought it was
Quick?
5.
Well,
Yeah, 5 or lower. Yep.
Okay, so I'm fine with my 6, unfortunately.
I think it should do it automatically, shouldn't it?
it does do it automatically.
Oh, okay, so it would have if I had.
Yeah, it will. It will do it. It should do it automatically. Oh, it does for
Yeah.
Got
mine.
a raise.
And yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry. So it's acting like it tested him with the other. Obviously, you didn't. So yeah, he's I just forget the word. What is it? Entangled, right?
Bound.
Yep, bound. Yep. Exactly. And so, how does that look? What does Escott do here?
I guess I bust through the door and just kind of tackle him, grab him by his feet, and he falls face first on the cement.
Awesome. Very, very good. Johnny Marks will try to escape, struggling as he will. But I don't think he's going to spend his turn trying to physically break free from Escott. Being who he is, he's Drag on that. There we go. Being who he is, he's not quite the fighter, and so instead begins to sort of plea rather pathetically. Please, please, let me go. I'm a pure rocker, an artist, a poet. You would throw me to the dogs of the Chicago Defense Force when rebellion is on the cusp of tomorrow's eve? Those
Yes.
sorts of... Fine, fine. Surely you would, while you would throw me to the dogs, throw me to better dogs than those. I know of the Chrome Reapers, I know of what they've been gathering. Let me go, and I promise you'll be highly rewarded amongst those that count me their friend.
I don't think we're on friendly terms with them. I just killed 2 of them.
Money, then. Money. Any amounts of money. Cybernetics. Whatever you desire. An apartment on the on the east side. Surely there must be something you need I can give you.
I need you to be quiet.
He's going to start shouting. Stamping, shouting, throwing his hands up and down, kicking his feet. He's got a pretty good pair of lungs on him too, so it's very loud.
All right, guys, I got him.
All right, I'll move through into here, I guess. Just shut up. Making too much noise. You're bringing the cops in.
Wait, no, truly, don't bring the cops in here. Is there a chance that we don't have to go to the CDF?
Stop bringing the cops in here with your voice.
Okay, fair. He quiets down instantly. What do I do to not? What you have me? I think I even hear Lisa's voice from the other room. So what do I do to leave this room and this large man's grasp? What do you need from me? Because he does not seem willing to let me go.
Just be quiet and stay still. All will be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine, and if things go south, you're just a bargaining chip.
That's right. We have nothing against you. We just don't want to be involved in this crap.
All right, Jed.
Well, overconfident as I am, I've got my plan. And so I bring Sally a little bit further along as I send a message to my contact with the exact location of where we've captured him. And I tell him, we have him. Send your guys to get him and to let us out of here. We've done our job, and it's time for us to move on.
All right, another sort of instantaneous and rather like callous response. You know, like another smiley face emoji. Like people are getting arrested out there, and this guy's responding with smiley face emojis. Still, you know, it's that sort of response, and that's it. Just sort of a tacit agreement to do as you say, and like it's hard to say, but from outside there was chaos, like just windows breaking, tear gas being shot off, flashbangs going off, people shouting at patrons, and then like the footsteps of the boots of the Chicago Defense Force. But now all of a sudden, as you sent that message out and waited for the response, that sort of chaos calmed a little bit, as if everyone was listening, right, to like an order given on their own comms. So a brief moment later.
I feel like this is going to go sideways. But this is the confidence.
You definitely hear heavy footsteps approaching from the arrow, right? Quickly parting the curtains of the stage and stepping through them to look at Jed and Mephi.
Point at the door. We've got him for you.
Those same heavy boots, pretty Jinro-y and SWAT team-esque, move through the large doors. Look at the wrestling redhead on the ground with this rocker in like a tank top right now that his leather jacket's been ripped off of him. Yeah, and he looks at the Chicago Defense Force and his eyes are quite wide. Faro, Escott, anything in particular that you do as the Chicago Defense Force member steps forth and is going to take Johnny Marks off to be arrested.
Not as if we go on
Fake leather jacket on.
Excellent. So that's exactly how it goes, and you sort of watch as the Johnny Marks is lifted up off of his belly, right, onto his feet, and then taken away. And his temper tantrum does not really stop. Quickly, though, he realizes that this might be an opportunity for him, fame-wise, and so he starts to like shout about. He starts to be like pathetic, Oh, I didn't do anything. What are you doing? You can't take me. I'll ruin you, officer. Those sorts of things. To like real kind of political. This is all a tool of the state to oppress, and starts to realizes that his arrest can be pretty quickly turned to his favor, and begins to shout about exactly those sorts of like leanings as he's led out by the cop, the Chicago Defense Force riot officer, not being smart enough to lead him away from the crowd. And of course they begin to like start cheering, and agreement with what he's saying as he's like led through the crowd by this like stormtrooper-esque guy.
shouting about how the CDF is stomping out what the rockers want and this, that, and the other thing, right?
Methy kind of whispers, it's time to go.
So,
Quick before the press shows up.
I hate interviews.
And I whisper to her, "Stop looking scared. Try to look tough."
Yeah, we especially should leave before the cops investigate those 2 dead bodies.
And so these double doors your tokens sort of move towards are just that, like a freight entrance, and out towards the back, though you can see the flashing lights of the nearby Chicago Defense Force cruisers and VTOLs, right, arresting folks, but also they're noticeably letting most people go. One of them from like the extreme north here, the extreme north here, like all the way to the north edge of the map as you move out with Lisa. This like youngish girl, multicolored hair, looks very similarly fashioned to Lisa. She like looks down to the south and like kind of like raises her hand and waves at her as she's like shooed off by a cop. And Lisa kind of like raises her hand and kind of like waves back to her. And so, like, looking at it, it's pretty clear that the Chicago Defense Force has a lot of Lisa Riley's in this show tonight. A lot of connected young kids came out to the Arlington Rads Heights to the Arlington Rad Zone rather to see this punk rocker do his thing, and then now we're being kind of like, all right, go home, you had your fun, by these cops. Lisa among them.
As if they knew this kind of thing is likely and it's just part of the fun.
So the van and the motorcycle nearby to the south. Maybe. What was that? And they're ready to sort of, be handled again and driven out. Thankfully, it being relatively in the lull of night, there's not a lot of gang shootings going on in the Arlington Heights, and there's no more rad beetles to come out of the woodworks during some barricade or another. Bringing Lisa to the connection there, you see that not only is your fixer isn't present at the drop-off, but there are a number of heavily armed guards that are easily visible as you pull up the motorcycle and the van. So you sort of drive up after another half an hour of driving out of the Arlington Heights Rad Zone, and at the drop-off point, you see these pretty heavily armed and armored individuals standing waiting.
I ask her, "Recognize him?" Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
So there's two on maybe the left quote unquote side of the alleyway, two on the right side of the alleyway. And as the cars slow, unless you all do something differently.
I ask her, "Do you recognize them?"
She sighs. Those are detectives, she quotes, and as you sort of you get just a little bit closer and the street light shines a little bit down, you can tell that they're Chicago Defense Force themselves. Like elite SWAT team members kind of thing.
Those are likely under my father's care, she says.
Oh, perfect.
So assuming that, Escott, you slow the car, and Faro, you do so with your motorbike.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And once you sort of get out of it and the guards see Lisa,
Nobody's grabbing for guns, correct?
no one is, but they've got their kind of hands on the submachine guns or whatever, like they're yeah, shouldered, if you will, not shouldered, slung around, easily shouldered, and so they're ready, but they're not pointing them directly at you, so to speak.
Got it.
And out of the shadows comes a gentleman in particularly fine clothing, armored like the bouncers, but far more expensive. He holds out his hand and he says, Lisa, what have you done? And sort of shakes his head disappointedly towards her. Have you any idea the situation my career would have taken? Your mother and I have spent millions on the implants, he says, tapping at her forehead as she sort of runs towards him. Right in here. And they contain everything. Chicago Defense Force secrets, weak points in the wall, nuclear codes, things that you've seen throughout your life. And you want to what? Run away with Johnny Marks, who is selling his most ardent groupies to the Chrome Reapers? That's what you want to do. You want to give our enemies the keys to the gate. And he sort of shakes his head again at her.
I now clear my throat and my jacket, please.
She sort of takes it off and as he puts his arm around her, leads her away towards some unseen vertical takeoff and landing vehicle in the shadows of the alleyway. She just sort of drags it behind her and then drops it on the ground.
Well, that was rude.
Hey, that's expensive, lady.
I mean, probably not to her.
Yeah, definitely not to her.
And within a couple of minutes, sorry, not even minutes, the moments later, the guards sort of retract back towards the Chicago Defense Force father and his now reclaimed daughter, and indeed the sounds of that VTOL powering up and beginning to take off can be heard.
Did anyone ask how much we're getting paid for this job?
Good question.
No, that's rent.
Yeah,
Sounds
pretty
like a lot.
much.
Sounds like a lot. And how much does a coffee cost these days? Go back to our place and hang out and find out.
Yeah, I like how that works. Nice. So we may have the opportunity to continue with these characters.
Yeah, sort of the idea was to keep them running and throw them through. I'll throw some advancements onto some other the pre-gens that I have, and if new folks come, they can select from one of the characters and one of the pre-gens. We'll sort of keep it moving forward.
That's great.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah. Well, excellent, everybody. I really sort of appreciate you coming by. Sorry the other game didn't come. Hope it was an appropriate substitute.
Well, it kept me entertained for the evening.
There you go.
Lots of fun.
Awesome.
Instead of chasing Nazis through the jungles.
Which is good too. No, that's such a benefit of it. I was like, oh, I do want to play some Flash Gordon if I'm being really honest with myself. Like, do I want to run a game or do I want to play some Flash Gordon? That's a hard choice.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for accepting me at the last minute.
Absolutely. You have a great time. We'll hope to see you soon.
Yep. That was great. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Take care, all.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
everyone. Good game.
And enjoyed playing with you guys.
Yeah,
Same.
fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, and feel free to sign up next time there, Jed, and we'll hope to see you soon.
All right. And so if I do get to play again, what advancements apply? What do you do?
You can just go ahead and take an advancement, and so you'd just be, either taking the skill or what is it? I forgot off the top of my head.
But basically, you get one advance, not just a tick towards an advance.
That's right.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah, the full advance. There you go. Yep.
Okay. With all the
Excellent.
various things you can do with that.
There you are. Yep.
Awesome.
Excellent. Oh, well, thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you all soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks for running for us. That was great.
Yeah, cheers all. Have a great night.
All right.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Bye.